All right, here we are in our last section. We're in the stretch it. If we didn't get to this, that's fine. This is more to just get us ready for tomorrow and sort of thinking about big picture U.S. history. So this comes from Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States. It's adapted from it. If you are interested in it, it's like this. Any historian has this on their shelf. So if you are interested in it, pick up a copy today. But it says, there is no such thing as a perfect fact, innocent of interpretation. Behind every fact presented to the world by a teacher, a writer, anyone, is a judgment. A judgment that has been made is that this fact is important, and that other facts omitted are not important. There were themes of profound importance to me which I found missing in the orthodox histories that dominated American culture. The consequence of those omissions has been not simply to give a distorted view of the past, but more importantly, to mislead us all about the present. For instance, there is the issue of class. It is to pretend that, as in the preamble of the Constitution, it is we the people who wrote that document, rather than 55 privileged white males whose class interest required a strong central government. The use of government for class purposes to serve the needs of the wealthy and the powerful has continued throughout American history, down to the present day. It is disguised by language that suggests all of us, rich and poor and middle class, have a common interest. And then there is much in the world we want to erase it. The inevitable issue of race. It did not occur to me, when I first began to immerse myself in history, how badly twisted was the teaching and writing of history by its submersion of non-white people. Yes, Indians were there, and then gone. Black people were visible when slaves, then free and invisible. It is a white man's history. As we pass from one century to another, one millennium to another, we will like to think that history itself is transformed as dramatically as the calendar. However, it rushes on, as it always did, with two forces racing towards the future, one splendidly uninformed, and the other ragged but inspired. There's the past and its continuing horrors: violence, war, prejudices against those who are different, outrageous monopolization of the earth's good wealth by a few, political power in the hands of liars and murderers, the building of prisons instead of schools, the poisoning of the press, and the entire culture by money. It is easy to become discouraged observing this, especially since this is what the press and television insist that we look at, and nothing more. It is a race in which we all choose to participate, or just to watch. But we know that our choice will help determine that outcome. I think of the words of the poet Shelley, recited by women garment workers in New York to one another at the start of the 20th century. They said, "Rise like lions under slumber, in unvanquishable number. Shake your chains to earth like dew, which in sleep have fallen on you. Ye are many, they are few." If you want to stretch it even further, there are some questions here that you can answer. What does the author mean by the underlined quote? So this quote here that I just underlined, when it says, "There's the past and its continuing horrors, violence, war, prejudices against those who are different, outrageous monopolization of the earth's good wealth by a few, political power in the hands of liars and murderers, the building of prisons instead of schools, the poisoning of the press and the entire culture by money. It is easy to become discouraged observing this, especially since this is what the press and television insist we look at, and nothing more." What does that mean? The next question is asking you, what is the author's stance on race in history? I think I would look at this section here, where it says, and there's much. And then there is much as we want to erase it, the ineradicable issue of race. Yikes. It did not occur to me when I first began to immerse myself in history how badly twisted was the teaching and writing of history by its submersion of non-white people. Yes, there were Indians. So the writings say, like, yep, there are Indians here, but then they're gone and kind of are not part of the written history. And it says, yes, there are black people who are visible and very important when they are slaves. When they're free, they suddenly become invisible. Whose history is this? Number 3 is asking you, what does it, the author mean by the underlined quote? I don't know why that's in there twice. I'll get rid of that second one. Right, and then this last one, why do you think the author chose to include the quote by the poet Shelley, where it says, so it's women in a garment factory in New York. They were making like skirts and cotton clothing at the height of the Industrial Revolution. There was stories of like the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, where there wasn't proper safety precautions being taken, exit doors being chained closed, really flammable material being used in the building, in the production, just kind of everywhere was flammable material. The Triangle Shirtwaist Company was a really terrible fire. Many people were killed because they were trapped inside a burning building. So to sort of think about that. And they were particularly like women in industrial fields because of sort of the changing face of the workforce at the time. But what do you think this quote means by Shelley when it says, "Rise like lions after slumber, in unvanquishable number. Shake your chains to earth like dew, which in sleep has fallen on you. Ye are many, they are few." Who are they talking about when they say ye are many, and who is the few that they are referring to? Once you've done that, you're going to see this at the bottom of each lesson kind of student packet, and it's making sure like you did what you needed to do. So have you finished this and turned it in, and kind of have you done that as your mastery check? There are some key points from the lesson that I'd like you to think through, that those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it. I'm sure you've heard that quote before, but it's really important. We see so many people ignorant of the past today, speaking on things they really have no business even commenting on. And then again, history happens every day. We are making history right now, whether we think about it or not. We also see some key skills that you've gained from this lesson. Sometimes they'll be super simple like this. Sometimes they'll be more in-depth, like looking at map, interpreting map skills or something like that. But today was just like, where do I find my materials? Can I get into the Google Classroom, find my materials, and navigate there? Am I able to answer questions in a student packet? And then am I able to turn in materials at the end of the day? With that said, please make sure you turn in those materials. You cannot get a grade if you do not turn them in, just like if we were in class. If you don't give me your work, I can't grade it. Thanks so much. See you back here for Unit 1, Lesson 1. Bye.